So the Black Panther movie came out last week, and it's been a huge success, smashing records, #1 movie in February, #1 soundtrack. It's a big deal. Everybody's going to see it, not just black people, but definitely black people are driving this success. I know a few people that are going to see it more than once, and I know a few people that have seen it 2 or 3 times. I don't know why. Not that I don't love the movie, but it's very rare for me to go to a movie theater twice for the same movie. It's just, that's why you have the internet. So this is going to be my review on the Black Panther movie. Now there's tons of reviews out there already. I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to focus on the things that I didn't like. Since everybody really knows what we like and what we love about the movie, and that is great visuals, great soundtrack, great acting. Yes, the actors were great. My favorite actor was M'Baku, the Ape Man. So yeah, the acting was really great. But now I want to focus on what I didn't like. The thing that I didn't like the most about the Black Panther movie is that there was no real badass villain. Now hear me out. I know a lot of you are going to say Eric Killmonger, but not really. You were sympathetic to Eric Killmonger. You felt for him, at least I did. Eric Killmonger is a son of Wakanda that was abandoned in Oakland after his father was killed by the King of Wakanda. He went to MIT, got a degree at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the top schools in America, and he goes on to fight for the US military. Was incredibly successful for the US military. But deep down, he felt bad for all the other oppressed people in the world, and he wanted to make a change, much in the same way his father did. But he wanted to do it by force, by any means necessary. So you can see that he was a little bit of a sympathetic character, I think. I mean, taking over the world by force, by any means necessary, okay, that's where you could say he's going overboard. But up until that point, he's a very sympathetic character. You feel for him. He was abandoned. His father was killed by the very people he went to fight later. So when he actually arrived in Wakanda and fought with the Black Panther, you didn't really feel like he was this evil guy. So that was one of my top problems with this movie, is that I don't think there was a top villain. You can't say Claw was the villain, because Claw was killed very easily with a gun. He was just shot. How many times in a movie is a villain killed with a gunshot? That like never happens. So Claw was killed with a gunshot and just dragged over to Wakanda. So that's my biggest beef with this movie, is that there was no villain. I didn't consider Eric Killmonger a villain. I considered him somebody who was wronged and who was blinded by anger and went about things the wrong way. In truth, Eric Killmonger in the comic books is a reckless beast. He is not the cousin of T'Challa, the king, the Black Panther. And if the Black Panther fought the Eric Killmonger in the cartoons, you would definitely want Eric Killmonger to die, because that character was actually a savage. The character they created in this movie didn't come across as a savage. He came across as somebody who you could feel for. And he was the Black Panther's cousin. In the comics, he's not supposed to be the Black Panther's cousin. So that's a big change right there. So I didn't like that part of it, that there was no real villain. The second thing I didn't like is the Black Panther in this movie was kind of a pansy. In a way, he wasn't the toughest guy in the room. Now, in all the comic books and all the cartoons, T'Challa, the Black Panther, is simply a badass. It's quite simply, he's a badass. Now, you can make the argument that This is the beginning when he first became the Black Panther, so I'll give him that. But in this movie, his sister was the sort of Q, the person that was creating all the gadgets, and that's really supposed to be T'Challa. He's the one that's supposed to have all this knowledge of gadgets. T'Challa is also supposed to be somebody who was a master strategist, and he never really showed any of these things. He just really seemed like a guy protected by his mom and his sisters. I mean, really, that's what it looked like. He just seemed a little bit like a pansy. Even when he fought, he barely beat people. Eric Killmonger is stronger than him, and he was always stronger than him in the cartoons, so I'll give him that. But it really did seem like the Dora Milaje, like people like Okoye, people like Nakia, it seemed like they were stronger than him, and that really shouldn't be the case, so I didn't like that either. Now, one thing I really did like is it really did move away from the way all the other Marvel movies were. So, in all the other Marvel movies, there is a very clear evil villain, and there is a very clear good guy. And therefore, the movie is kill the bad guy, and save the world. And so in that aspect, not really having a clear villain made this movie a lot deeper, because you could see yourself in every character. You could see the dynamics that they were trying to show. In a way, it seemed as if they were trying to show some of the dynamics between Africans and African Americans subtly. There was a great article by Benjamin Dixon on ProgressiveArmy.com, and I want to just read to you what he said about this. We could see ourselves having the heart of King T'Challa as he learned to cope with his responsibilities as leader and protector of the people while fighting the imposter syndrome, the feeling that we aren't qualified for the position we hold. Simultaneously, we saw ourselves in the villain, Killmonger, dealing with the trauma of being abandoned and alone to grow up as a black person in a foreign land. I'll put a link to Benjamin Dixon's whole article in the comment section below. But that is what I loved the most about this movie. It's not just a superhero movie. It had some very subtle, deep messages about unity of Africans and African Americans, and how it all really came full circle. There was a little bit of distrust, anger, and at the end, there was unity. A+ for Black Panther. It wasn't your average superhero movie.